Week in, week out, prophesy the downfall of Babylon the Great, man. First, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushai, double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone, and salutation to the Akim pushing his word in truth and sincerity. Right, it's another Saturday, out in Babylon the Great, pushing the word of a Mashiach. You know, let's go straight into this. Revelations, man. It talks about the war in heaven, man, and about World War III. We're coming into that time, you see, and it was said that the so-called elites had planned it, man. Back in 1871, Albert Pike was a well-known Freemason, yeah, and they said they was going to introduce 3 world wars, okay? And it says here, Albert Pike in 1871 planned for the 3 world wars, okay? And it says in 1871, Albert Pike envisioned 3 world wars to be followed by an unparalleled economic disaster. Okay? Pike's plan have come to fruition, shockingly on target. And it says, who is Pike? And perhaps more importantly, who backed Pike? Okay, so they know that someone backed Albert Pike, because he was a 33 degrees Freemason. And it says here, Albert Pike's letter to Mazzini, dated August 15, 1871. And it says, the First World War must be brought about in order to permit the Illuminati to overthrow the power of the Khazars in Russia, and of making that country a fortress of authentic communism. Right? Authentic communism. I don't have to pronounce that. It says here, I can't pronounce that word here. Caused by the agents of the Illuminati between the British and German empires will be used, okay, to foment this war. At the end of the war, communism will be built and used in order to destroy the other governments and in order to weaken the religions. Because that's what this man's about, man. Esau, the so-called white man, he's about weakening nations. It tells you that in the Bible, man, how he weakened the nations, okay? And it says, the Second World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences between the fascists and the political Zionists. Okay? This war must be brought about so that Nazism is destroyed and that the political Zionism be strong enough to institute a sovereign state of Israel in Palestine. And that's what happened. Still about the so-called Israelis, the Israelites. What they did is that they said, look, if you give us the land of Palestine, we'll bring the Americans into the Second World War. And that happened. That's why hence they got the land of Israel. They got our land, the Israelites' land. And it says here, during the Second World War, international communism must become strong enough in order to balance Christendom, which will be then restrained and held in check until the time when we would need it for final social catalysm, okay? Because that's what they're going to do. They're going to use Christianity, yeah, for that final catalysm, okay? But this is the main one. This is the Third World War. It says the Third World War must be fomented by taking advantage of the differences caused by the agent of the Illuminati between the political Zionists and the leaders of Islamic world. And that's what you're seeing now. Everything's about the Islamic world. Who did they say brought down the Twin Towers? Bin Laden and his posse, okay? The Saudis. Their so-called religion is Islam, okay? And it says, the war must be conducted in such a way that Islam, the Muslim Arab world, and the political Zionists, the state of Israel, mutually destroy each other. And what is Iran saying now to Israel? That we want to destroy you. And Israel saying to Iran, we want to destroy you. See? So this was conjured up in 1871. Albert Pike, yeah, wrote a letter to some Italian Freemason called Mazzini. Okay? And it says, let's move on. And it says here, meanwhile, the other nations, once more divided on this issue, will be constrained to fight to the point of complete physical, moral, spiritual, and economic exhaustion. Because we're coming to that now. What are they doing in the Middle East? They're setting up, everyone's setting up strategically for that great Third World War, man. You know? And it says here, we shall unleash the nihilists and the atheists, and we shall provoke the formidable social catalysm which in all its horror will show clearly to the nations that the effect of absolute atheism, the origin of savagery and of the most bloody turmoil, yeah, then everywhere the civilians obliged to defend themselves against the world minority of revolutionaries will exterminate those destroyers of civilization, and that the multitude disillusioned with Christianity, okay, because the Bible is not about Christianity, it's about law, statutes and commandments. But Albert Pike and his followers and his so-called Illuminati, the 33-degree Masons, have conjured up a so-called plan, because it tells you that this devil is wiser than Daniel in wickedness. He's wise in wickedness, okay? Because the white man, the so-called red man, the Edomites, are the so-called children of Satan. So everything they do it on the left-hand side. They do it contrary to what the one you call Jesus Christ, okay? And it says, whose tiniest spirits will form that moment be without compass or direction, anxious for an idol, but without knowing where to render its adoration, will receive the true light through the universal manifestation of the pure doctrine of Lucifer. That's what Albert Pike said, that the so-called powers that be, the Rothschilds, the DuPonts, their god is Lucifer, okay? And Lucifer only means the light bearer, okay? Because they have the light, they got the knowledge of the ages. The so-called British Museum, if you go there, well, they won't allow you into the basement. That's where they got all the knowledge, man, of the ages. The so-called the Vatican is another place where they got all the so-called knowledge of the ancient times. But they give these peons, these people walking up and down, they just give them little knowledge. They give them mobile phones, you know, stuff like that. And they're happy with that little bit of technology to keep them blind. And it says, brought finally out into the public view. So they're looking for that Luciferian doctrine, man, the Illuminati, the New World Order they call it, the One World Doctrine, okay? And it says, will finally out in public view. This manifestation will result from a general rectory movement which will follow the destruction of Christianity and atheism. So they want to completely destroy so-called Christianity. They're already doing that. They're saying they can't bring, they don't teach about Jesus in the schools no more, okay? And they're saying atheism is you don't believe in that there is a God. So what they, like it says here, they want to bring in that Luciferian, the worship of Satan, okay? And it says, and atheism, both conquered and exterminated at the same time, okay? Right, and it says here, the Catholic Church lost power as a consequence of the power of the printing press, which brought about the Renaissance, the Reformation, when the people like Martin Luther translated the Bible from the Latin to the German, and later from the English books, and then it said afford to read is published from the printing press across Europe. See these Caucasians, the so-called Edomites they're called, they don't believe in God. They believe in Lucifer, they believe in Satan, okay? And it says here, I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents. And it says, I do further promise and declare that I will, when opportunity presents, and make a wage relentless war secretly and openly against all heretics, Protestants and Masons. So that's why they're bringing forth this world war, man. You know what I mean? They have to bring it forth because the Most High wants it that way. The Most High puts it, what's that scripture? Like man's goings is of the Lord. The Most High put it in their spirit to bring forth His word, man. So let's get a couple of scriptures. You right, bud? You right, yeah?
Yeah, not too bad, yeah.
Alright, let's run off some of these scriptures, man. How's your plantation work? Alright, yeah?
Yeah, they got rid of me, man.
Nah. Already?
Because I took a week off because I was sick.
Oh, okay.
It's an Edomite.
Is it Edomite, yeah?
Edomite guy, man. I had him over to you, man.
Yeah, Edomite. No wonder, bruv.
Yeah, back in the session.
Oh, okay. Yeah, them Elamites, I want them bad, bruv. I always have run-ins with them, man.
Yeah.
The most I've made it in that spirit that, because he knows I hate them, that I've run him so that hate grows.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right, this is Revelations. Ah, there it is. This is Revelations 9 and 12. And it says, and one woe has passed, and behold, there cometh two woes more after. Right, so one world war has passed. That's what Albert Pike was explaining to Mazzini, how we want to conjure up 3 world wars. And it says here, one woe has passed, and behold, there cometh 2 more woes thereafter. So, Second World War has passed. Yeah, so let's go to Revelations 11 and 14. So the 2 world wars have already passed, but it says there's another one coming. So let's get that. Right, and this is Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe has passed, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. Okay? And that's the Third World War. Well, Albert Pike, so-called Freemason, said they want to set 3 world wars up. Yeah? And that shows you that the Bible is true, man. And it's come to pass. Because the Most High put the spirit on these devils to bring forth this destruction. So let's get some of this destruction. It's Isaiah. Let's go to Isaiah. I think it's Isaiah. Isaiah 30, I'm sure it's 34. 34. Yeah. This is Isaiah 34 and 1. Come near ye nations to hear, and hearken ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that therein, the world, and all the things that come forth of it. For the indignation means righteous anger. The righteous anger of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury is upon all their armies. Okay? He have utterly destroyed them. This is future prophecy, man. This is what we're heading into. Third World War. He have delivered them to the slaughter. The slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Because last week we was talking about there's so much blood that these Edomites have shed, that their blood has to be shed, man. That's how it works. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. Galatians 6 and 7 says, be not deceived, God is not mocked. Whatsoever a man soweth, that shall it also reap. You reap what you sow, man. And it says, and all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall roll together as a scroll. And what's that talking about, man? The mushroom cloud, isn't it? That's what it's talking about, man. Mushroom clouds. That's what's going to happen to these devils, man. Yeah? And it says, and all their hosts shall fall down as a leaf falleth off from a vine, and as a falling fig tree from the tree. So that's all their political system, all their future plans are going to come to naught. That's what it's talking about. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. So the Most High is telling you specifically what nation is coming down on. It's not coming down on the Edomites. It's not coming down on the Ammonites, the Ishmaelites, even though they're going to be mixed within the mix. But he's talking about a specific nation, the Edomites. Yeah? Because this Bible is about two main people, man, two main nations. The Edomites, the Israelites, all 12 tribes, and the Edomites. Like we always say, it's talking about the rest of the people are like the side dish. The main two bits of food, we can say, as an analogy, is like the meat and the potatoes. You know, all the salad and all that is like the side dish. That's the rest of the nation. You know what I mean? And it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven. And when it talks about heaven, it don't mean the skies, it means a rulership. Because who's ruling now? Esau, the Edomites. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea. And that's a Greek way of saying Edom. Okay? They changed that to Idumea. Well, that should be Edom. But what it is, the so-called powers that be want to confuse the people, man. And upon the people of my curse, to judgment. Because they're cursed. Why are they cursed? Because they can't stay in the sun for too long, man. They've got to have suntan lotion. Right? And that's a curse in the Bible, man. According to the Bible, I think it's Leviticus, the 13th chapter, it talks about that red spot in the flesh. Yeah, the rising red in the flesh. You've got to be left out of the congregation for 7 days because you're unclean. That's what happened to Miriam. You done a video, yeah? Okay. Let me just get that quickly.
Miriam.
Yeah, she did, didn't it? Because she was older than Moses, she thought she could, tell him what to do. But she knew the order. That's why the Lord said, shouldn't someone spit in her face? You know what I mean? For being going off. Alright, this is that story between, shows you that being a so-called Caucasian, is that complexion is off. This is Numbers 12 and 1. And Miriam and Aaron spoke against Moses because of the Ethiopian woman who he had married. Because back in that time, Moses, I think the Lord allowed Moses to marry other. I don't think the nation was fully formed then. Moses was a Hebrew. Didn't say he was an Israelite, was he? I don't think the Israelites was, no, because it comes from Jacob, innit? Right, so at that time, the Lord allowed us to marry other nations because why? Because a man brought forth the seed. Wherever the man was, the child was. Because Moses was a Hebrew, yeah? One of the chosen people, he allowed him to lay down with a heathen, okay? And it says, as they said, this is what Miriam said. I'll start again. It said the Ethiopian woman who he had married, for he had married an Ethiopian woman. And Ethiopian comes from the Greek word Ethiops, or it means burnt face. Okay, that's what it means. That's all it means. Because when the Greeks went there, when the Greeks went to the so-called Ham, the land of Ham, they said, look at these burnt faces. Because they were crackers, they never had burnt faces. They was red as hell. Okay? And they said, have the Lord indeed spoke only by Moses? This is Miriam, Moses' older sister and his younger brother. Okay? And Aaron come against Moses. Yeah? Have not spoken also by us, and the Lord had heard him. So basically, Aaron and Aaron and Miriam was coming up against Moses, man. And that was out of order. The Most High said Moses was a man of his own heart, man. You know what I mean? Moses was his friend. What man could say that they're the friend of the Most High? Not a lot of men, man. You know why? Because he was very meek. It tells you here. It says, and Moses was very meek above all men which are upon the face of the earth. So the Most High saw Moses as meeker than any man on the face of the earth. You know why? Because he was prepared to leave Pharaoh's house and suffer with his own people, man. He was a prince of Egypt. He had all the wealth, he could have all the women, all the money. But what did he do? He said, you know what? My people are suffering. I'm going to go and suffer with my people. Okay? And it says, and the Lord spoke suddenly unto Moses and unto Aaron and unto Miriam, as Moses' brother and sister, come out ye three upon the tabernacle of the congregation. And they three came out. And it says, and the Lord came down on a pillar of a cloud and stood in the door of the tabernacle and called Aaron and Miriam, and they both came forth. And he said, hear now my words. If there be a prophet among you, I the Lord will make myself known unto him in a vision, and I will speak unto him in a dream. Alright, that's how the Most High visits mainly the prophets. In a vision or in a dream. But he says, my servant Moses is not so, whom is faithful in all my house. With him I will speak mouth to mouth. Oh yeah, right? Remember, Moses had to go up onto the mountain to receive the law, statutes, and commandments. So he went up there for 40 days and 40 nights, but the Most High spoke to him mouth to mouth, man. Not many men of the Lord can say that can happen to that. Had happened to him. Moses, that shows you that Moses was very high up in the Most High's category. And it says, and even apparently, not in dark speeches and in similitudes of the Lord shall be held. Wherefore, then were ye not afraid to speak against my servant Moses? So the Most High is asking, weren't you afraid to speak against Moses? You know I set up Moses. How comes you weren't afraid to come against Moses? Because they wanted that limelight as well. And we've got plenty of people in this truth today, man. They want the limelight. They're not out here for the right reasons. They're out here to be seen of men. You know what I mean? And the same thing happened to Miriam and Aaron. I know that Aaron was following Miriam because that was his older sister. You know that spirit of the woman. It's very powerful in certain circumstances. Yeah? But Aaron should have known better. Okay? And it says, now the anger of the Lord was kindled against him, and he departed. So he was angry with Miriam and with Aaron. And he said, you know what, I'm getting out of here, you know, before I destroy something. Yeah? And it says, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle. So the Most High left in that chariot, you know what I mean? The Most High, you know it's an angel he sent down, because the Most High don't just come off of his throne. So, you know what I mean? He said, and behold, it says, and the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. So the leprosy is what we're talking about. It's Caucasians you see walking around us. They have leprosy, man. White as snow. They call themselves white people. So let's go back to Isaiah. So the point was, these guys out here, they're leprous. Okay? And it says, and that's what it's talking about, the curse. These so-called Edomites, they're red as hell, they're under a curse. Yeah? They got the curse of Cain. There's no melanin in their flesh.
Hold on. Turn on me, you little bitch. You little bitch.
And it says, for my sword shall be bathed in heaven, and behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse, the judgment. So they're the cursed people, man, and they're going to be judged. Future prophecy. For the sword of the Lord is filled with blood, and it is made fat with the fatness, and with the blood of the lambs and the goats, with the fat and the kidneys and the rams. For the Lord have a sacrifice in Bozrah. Right, there's a buzzword there, Bozrah. That is the capital of Edom. Yeah? So he's talking to a specific people, the Edomites. So the Lord said he's going to have a sacrifice in Edom, man. He has to sacrifice you. You're the children of Satan. He has to do away with you, man. In the great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And it says here, I'll jump down to 8. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance. So you got these people talking about Lord loves everything. The Lord don't hate. The Lord said he's going to have vengeance, man. See, what's that about? And the year of recompenses for the controversy of Zion. So it's all about the Israelites, man. Yeah? Because they put the so-called Edomites, during the Romans, the Greeks, they put their hands on the children of the Most High, man. The apple of his eye, he calls us. So that's why all this is going to happen to you Idumeans, man. You're going to be destroyed. Yeah? And it says, and the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch.